All right, thank you. All right, hi everyone. I am Mr. Ford. I am a teacher, as Mrs. Musone said, at Central York High School. Um, we have 5 computer science classes at the high school, and some schools don't have any computer science classes whatsoever. So we are very lucky, and you guys are very lucky if you take the opportunity to take one of those 5 different computer science classes. And I'll talk a little bit about what those different classes are and what we do in them a little bit later. As Mrs. Musone said, I have a little bit of an interesting background in computer science. And the interesting part is that I have no background in computer science. My background is in education. I went to college to be a teacher. And I am a teacher, but I went for math. So, algebra, pre-algebra, geometry, those different things. And I only took one computer science class. And that was my freshman year of college, and that's because most colleges require everyone to take at least one computer science class. So I really had no formal background in computer science whatsoever. Then when I got my job at Central York High School, I originally started teaching statistics, and there was a teacher that taught our 2 computer science classes that we had at the high school. We used to only have 2, and now we have 5. And that teacher left the school, and they were like, all right, who wants to teach computer science? And nobody jumped at the chance to teach computer science. So being a recently hired teacher, I thought it would be a good opportunity to try something new. So I volunteered and I said, you know what? I'll do it. I'll teach computer science. And I knew nothing about computer science. So I had a lot to learn. Now, I did do a little bit with computers back in middle school and in high school. Back before they had Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those other different social media sites, there was something called MySpace. MySpace came out in 2003, so I know for some of you, you weren't even born yet in 2003. But back in 2003, they created something called MySpace. And it was kind of like Facebook is, where you have a profile, you can be friends with different people, you could post things on their wall. But it was a little bit different in that it gave us the freedom to make it look however we wanted it to look. So instead of everyone's page being the same, everything's over here, it's all blue and white, we had the opportunity to change almost every aspect about how it looked. So we could add different kinds of patterns in the background. We could do different colors for the borders. Each person could be represented by a different color. We could add audio and video and pictures. And we can make it look however we wanted it to look. We could add games to the site, so when people came to visit my profile, they could play some video games on there. But in order to do it, you had to know some coding. So they gave everyone the opportunity to do it, but you had to know kind of what to type in. So that's kind of how I first got interested in it back in, I think it was about 7th or 8th grade. So I got in there, I looked at what the code, it all looked like gibberish to me, like some foreign language, and computer science can be kind of like a foreign language. It's something that you're not similar to. It's a little bit different than what you might be used to. So it's something you have to learn and acquire some knowledge about. So I did some research. I looked up some things. I found some cool effects to make the page flash multiple colors and things like that. And I just kept spending hours and hours and hours just making my web page look pretty and make it do cool things and add fun games to it. And I didn't really do any of the other parts of the social networking where I'd post to people or share photos and things like that. I just wanted to look at the code, look at the computer language that's there, and try to make something cool happen. And a lot of times in computer science, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make something cool happen, trying to make something to solve a problem. So that's kind of where I got started with computer science stuff. So when I had the opportunity to volunteer to teach computer science, I'm like, okay, I kind of did something sort of like that back in middle school. So let's give it a try. Beyond then, the next time I had kind of some practice with computer science was in high school. Now, we didn't have any computer science classes when I was in high school. Our high school didn't offer any. Again, so you guys are lucky at Central that we have 5 courses offered at the high school. We didn't have any. But what I did do is I took a calculator. Now, some of you might not have ever used this complex of a calculator before, but this is a graphing calculator. It does some really cool things with math. And I found myself in some of my math classes spending a lot of time on homework, as I'm sure a lot of you guys do. You spend a lot of time on your math homework because a lot of people don't like math. Math's awesome, by the way. You should always like math. But I would find myself spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes doing a couple math problems. I'm like, there must be an easier way to do this. So I could actually program this calculator to do my math homework for me. So when some of my friends were spending, an hour or two doing their math homework, because I understood it and could get in here and type some stuff in, I could get this to do my math homework for me in about 5 or 10 minutes. So that was kind of my next part of computer science. Okay, so computer science isn't just with actual computers. Okay, a calculator is a computer, and we can do things in here, typing certain things in here in order to make it do what we want it to do. So I had to teach 2 computer science classes the following year. And I didn't know anything about the classes I was going to teach. So I had to teach myself how to do computer science and to program before I could teach the students how to program and make their web pages. So I found myself maybe only a week or 2 learning ahead of the students. So I might have just learned previously the week or 2 before something and taught the students the next week what it was. And then, of course, they thought I was an expert at it. They thought I knew everything that there was to know, but I was just a little bit ahead of them. And how I learned it was how many of you guys learn things. You find a video on YouTube about it, and it actually works pretty well. You can learn a lot on the internet. It has a lot of resources out there. You can learn a lot of information, but you have to find the right information to learn information from. So I read some books, I watched some videos, I made a lot of mistakes in my process. That's part of the whole learning process, not just with computer science, but with anything. You learn through making mistakes and fixing your mistakes. So I started with web page design. So one of the first classes that we have at the high school is Intro to Web Page Design and Computer Programming. So the web page design is how you make a web page. So anytime you're on the internet, anything you go to is a web page. And I teach students how to design a web page like that. So if you go to Google and you type something in Google and a search pops up with all this different information, that's done with what we call HTML, which is a computer language. Again, it's just like Spanish or English or French. It's a language that you need to learn. So we would learn how to make paragraphs on the page, links, add audio and video, nice pretty colors on the pages, and things like that. So any website that you ever go to is coded in HTML. Okay, it is basic words, languages like we would use in English. It's just how we combine them together in order to do what we want to have it to do. The second part of our intro class is computer programming. So whenever you play your video games, you're on Xbox, you're on your PlayStation, you're on your phones or your iPads. I know you guys have iPads that you play on all the time. That's computer programming. There is programming involved in order to do all those different things, whether it's a game, whether it's an educational app. Okay, there is programming that goes into it that makes it do what you want it to do. And it might be 100 lines of code, or it might be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of codes like a really thick book. There's a lot that goes into it, but I teach them the basics of how we can make those things happen. So by the end of the course, they can make simple things like what can be done on a calculator, doing our math problems for us based on a few things that we type in, to eventually we make a tic-tac-toe game, a hangman game, something that's kind of simple, but everyone can relate to it and be able to use it. So that's intro class. And again, I knew nothing whatsoever. And within a few weeks, I was able to learn more information and gather more information. And as I continued to learn more, the students were learning more. And by the end of it, they were able to make some pretty cool looking web pages and some pretty neat programs. So that was the first course that I had to learn and figure out. And I thought I had that down pretty good. And then there was the advanced web page design course. And that was a lot more difficult, and I had to do a lot more work for that. But what it did was to add some advanced features to some websites that are more common on the websites that you have. So for instance, if you go to Google and you type in that search, there's extra information needed, extra code kind of behind the scenes that makes it work, that makes it find all of the results that are most important. So if I type Central York High School in Google search, it doesn't come up with West York. That wouldn't make any sense. So it actually gets the correct information that we need. Whenever you order something online or your parents order something online, so, you know, Christmas is coming up, you have some things that you want, they go online, they order it from Amazon. When they type in their credit card information, the address, their name, and thing like that, there's something that happens behind the scenes that processes it securely so that people don't steal their credit card information and take all their money. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and we talk about that, how to be more interactive with the user, how we can move things across the screen and float around, how you can make menus that drop down and look nice and pretty. So those are 2 courses, and that was it. That was all that Central had, I'd say, 6 years ago. And from there, we have added 3 other classes because the need was there. Students have a lot of fun in my class making these websites. They have a lot of fun with their friends. They're working together on them. They are really, really cool. And so students ask me, Mr. Ford, hey, can we learn how to make an app? Okay, well, first I need to learn how to make an app, and then I can teach you guys how to make an app. So this year is the first year that we have an iOS app development course. So anything that you have on your phone, okay, all those apps on there, we are learning how to program them, how to make them. So we get in on our computer, there's a simulation that we can test it out. We can actually put our apps that we make on our phones, on our iPads, and we can test them. And we're at the point now, because we're getting towards the end of the semester, where students have the ability to make the app that they want, to potentially publish it on the App Store and make money from it. So again, that was all student driven because the students really enjoyed programming. It's fun, okay? It's challenging, and it's really satisfying when you actually get something to work that you couldn't get to work. So there's a lot of problem solving involved. So if you can think back to when you have a math problem or something that you're trying to do and you just can't figure it out. You just can't figure it out. You're sitting there, you try many different things, you ask for some help, your friends help you, your teacher helps you, and all of a sudden you get it. Okay? It's that aha moment that programmers have almost daily. And it's that satisfying effect of programming something and having it actually work in the end that makes people keep coming back to it. We also have 2 AP classes, which is advanced placement, which means that students can earn college credit while still in high school. So when you go off to college, if you plan on going to college, you have the opportunity to already go in with a head start and be a little bit ahead of all of your peers. So you already go in with kind of a leg up on things. These AP classes are awesome. They really get you into computer programming a lot more in depth and kind of give you also a broad overview of all the different parts of computer science that are out there. Because you don't just have to make a game. That's not what computer programming and computer science is about. That's one aspect of it, but there are also other aspects of it. You might want to get into cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is something that's really big now. We all want to be safe and secure online. They have, the Army, the military, the Navy, those things, that keeps us safe physically, but there's also keeping us safe in America on the internet. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of attacks that happen, and cybersecurity is one of those big things that is very prominent right now, and it will be for the foreseeable future. So we have cybersecurity, we have software development or hardware development. If you want to actually make a game or you want to make software that allows us, maybe it's a different, instead of Microsoft Word, you're making a different one that can be a text editor. There's a lot of stuff you can do. But learning the basics of computer programming kind of gives you the ability of the critical thinking skills. It gives you the problem solving skills that you need in any class in school and outside in real life. It gives you those skills that you need to be successful in anything, not just computer science itself. And then lastly, I want to finish up with what we are doing right now with something called the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow competition. So Samsung, as you all know, you have Samsung Galaxies and Samsung TVs, and they make a lot of technology. Samsung has challenged America in order to try to help them help the community. And in order to help the community, they wanted teachers and students to use STEM. So science, technology, engineering, and math. And not just STEM, but also there's STEAM as well, where there's an A in there, and that A stands for some kind of artistic component to it. So they challenged everyone in America to come up with some plan in order to better help their local community. So at the high school, we have lots of honor societies. Okay, so the best of all the students get into these honor societies, and the National Computer Science Honor Society and myself, we are working on the Samsung Software Tomorrow competition. And what we have decided to do is to take the Panther Pantry, and many of you have heard about it. You've donated items to the Panther Pantry. It essentially has different necessity household items and food items that help families in our community that may not be able to afford all these necessities and things and just need some extra help. We are trying to bring the Panther Pantry into the 21st century. So right now, everything's done by hand. Inventory, they just point to things and count stuff. We're trying to automate that. We want to make a website for it so that people can order things online, kind of like Amazon does, and things that you can order online for Walmart. So we're really trying to incorporate all of our knowledge of computer science into making this Panther Pantry something that can help our local community. Amy?
Okay, I was just unmuting. I was typing in notes and I was still typing. I apologize. Thank you very much. Now, before you go, I was wondering if somebody had a question that they would like to ask Mr. Ford. Okay.
This is Andrew, and he's doing a Genius Hour project right now on computer animation, and I believe he has a question.
Yes. I want to know how you take computer animations and put them into an app.
Okay, good question. I'm not sure there's a really simple answer to that, but what we're doing right now in our app development course is we take a bunch of different small images, and basically it's like a flip book. So if we have an image and then we have another image that's slightly moved and then another image that's slightly moved, basically we just turn those images on and off really quickly so it looks like something is moving. Nothing's actually moving. It just appears that it's moving because its position is slightly moved on every different screen. So based on your animations that you would take all those different images and you'd have some kind of delay or timer that gradually shifts that image to make it look like it's moving across the screen.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. It looks like there is somebody in Mrs. Glover's class who would like to ask a question.
After you made mistakes, did you eventually get them all right?
I did not get them all right. There are still some problems out there that I'm working on, but I did get most of them right. And I didn't just get them right just by, magically coming to some kind of solution. There's a lot of trial and error that goes into it. So I might have made an original mistake, and then I might have asked for help. Okay, don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it's in computer science or in math or English or anything. There's always someone out there that knows a little bit more than you know. So it's good to get their advice and get their help on things. And whether I looked online to find a YouTube video, whether I found another book or read something else in another location or online, eventually someone was out there that was willing to help me. Okay? So again, reach out to your friends, to your teachers, to your parents, anyone that's willing to help, and chances are you'll eventually get to your solution. But there are still some things out there that I'm working on that I'm hoping to find the answer to.
How do you make the calculator do your homework?
I'll let you guys figure that one out. I don't want to give you all the answers.
Here, ask your one.
How do you hack?
Could you repeat that?
Say it nice and loud. How do you hack?
So hacking, as we call it, is another area of computer science. I don't really know that much about it, but it is definitely something that you are given the base skills to understand and know how to do by taking some of the classes at the high school. I don't teach you how to hack into someone's computer and steal all their information. That's not good. You shouldn't do that. But that is a branch of it. That's part of cybersecurity. Being able to get into making sure not only your stuff is safe, but also to prevent people from stealing your information as well.
How do you edit the art and the animation on the website?
What was that again?
How do you edit the art and animation on the website?
I'm not quite sure what the art and animation is on a website, but there is a way that we can do different animations on a website. That is with the HTML language, okay, and possibly JavaScript. And JavaScript is a way that we can do computer programming, which again helps us to gradually move things across the screen. So nothing's actually moving completely from one area to the other. Like when we move as a person and I'm moving my hand, it is a continuous motion. Basically, an animation on a website is just something moving a couple pixels at a time. And a pixel is just a little dot of light on your computer. And things just go bit by bit, pixel by pixel, and move across your screen. So once you learn the computer programming to do that, you can make things move and animate however you want.
Do you like your job?
Of course I like my job. I get to see kids like you every single day, and I get to help you figure things out, which is the best part of school.
Do you like teaching kids how to use computers?
I do, and not only do I teach them how to use the period's over. Not only do I teach them how to use computers, but how to make the computers work for them. So you guys all know how to get on your phones and get on your iPads and do things, but what you're doing isn't necessarily educational. So I like to teach kids how to use it educationally so that they can learn what they want to learn about.
Do you like being a teacher?
I do like being a teacher.
How long did you like computers?
When I was younger, we didn't have computers as much as you guys have access to computers right now. I don't think I got my first computer access until like I was 8 or 9 years old. And even then, we had something called a floppy disk. I don't know if any of you even know what a floppy disk is. It's kind of like a CD. Again, some of you don't even know what a CD is either. It's like a flash drive, but it can only hold maybe one paper on it, and that's it. Okay, so it was all the way back when I was younger. We didn't really have too much technology, but now as the technology's out there, again, it's awesome. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can do with it, not just playing games. Games are fun. Everyone likes to play games, but there's other things that you can do too that are educational, that are recreational, that you don't just have to play games for. So computers are awesome, like using computers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brian. Mr. Ford, you were very informative. And the kiddos from the classes, you asked really great questions. So hopefully this might get you interested in trying something at least this week and beyond. Mrs. Antone's class said thank you. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop the recording now.